Welcome back to Midwest Access. I'm Viv Williams. I'm so excited to introduce you to my son, Teddy Midtune, who's a new veterinarian in Colorado. He has always been interested in the well-being of animals, and this picture is of Teddy with his award-winning chicken, Sir Wiglaf, and his little brother, William, at the Olmsted County Fair. Sir Wig was the nickname. Wig is what we called him, and he won grand champion that year. And that, among many other things and important people in his life, set the stage for him to become a veterinarian. Today, he's giving us some tips on how to keep your pets safe during the holidays.
Yeah, to keep your pets safe during the holiday season, we don't want to be feeding them any toxic foods. So that includes foods in the allium family. So garlic and onion, even in their powdered form, are toxic to dogs and cats. Additionally, grapes and raisins are also toxic. So we want to avoid feeding our pets those foods anytime throughout the year. But particularly in this very food rich season, we want to avoid feeding pets more than 10% of their caloric diet with treats. So that adds up really quickly. The salt intake in foods, oftentimes, even things like canned foods, like canned vegetables, can be canned in salt. So we want to be limiting that. We also want to be limiting fatty foods that are very common throughout this season. They often cause GI upset or even pancreatitis that can result in a hospital visit.
What about turkey bones? Should you be worried about your dogs or cats eating the bones of the turkey?
Yes, so turkey bones, chicken bones, any type of bone, even steak bones, are soft enough when they're cooked to be able to be broken by the really hard teeth of the dogs and cats that we have. And so there's concern that they can ingest some of that bone material. It can be very sharp. I'd worry about things like obstruction or potentially causing some GI upset or even bleeding due to the sharpness of the bones. So, yes, we do not want to be feeding any chicken, turkey, or any beef bones to our dogs and cats during this holiday season.
So, if your pet has eaten bones or has gotten sick from something, what are some of the symptoms that you might notice?
Yeah, so some of the symptoms of eating bones or something that they might shouldn't have gotten into would be excessive salivation, licking their lips more, potentially if they're not acting like their normal self, that's also a concern. If you press on their belly and they it feels tight or they're reactive to that, those are all things that I'd be concerned about and would recommend bringing your cat or dog into the veterinarian to figure that out more.
And what about toxicity from something like garlic or onions?
It all kind of depends on how recently they've consumed those foods. So if it's within a certain amount of time, we can induce emesis, which means we would promote vomiting to be able to get as much of that toxin out of the body as possible. And then afterwards, we would do things like decontamination. So giving the dogs or cats something that can help bind that toxin in their stomach since they've already started to absorb that, or additionally would need supportive fluids or further hospitalization. But thinking about foods that I would recommend during the holiday season would be things like unseasoned and unsalted vegetables or fruits.
And I've heard pumpkin, they can eat pumpkin, not in the pie, preferably not in the pie, but pumpkin.
Yeah. Canned pumpkin that doesn't have any salt added to it is a great option. It's got a lot of fiber in there. Just like any food, any treat that dogs and cats don't normally eat, I would recommend starting with a small amount, as potentially new foods can cause upset stomach and diarrhea, even if they're okay foods to give.
Okay, so do you remember when you were little, we had a roast beef for Christmas, and I had carved half of it, put it out in the buffet, and the dog that we had at the time, a black lab, ate all of it that was out, which is a lot of meat. In retrospect, should we have taken that dog to see a vet that night?
Yes, I'm glad he was all right in the end, but yes, I'd recommend if dogs eat large portions of human food, there is concern for not only upset stomach or diarrhea, but things like pancreatitis and more concerning diseases that can really cause problems down the road. And so I would recommend for any dog or cat that's ingested too much of something to bring them into the vet.
When it comes to decorations, your holiday decorations, and there are lights on the floor, there are all these things on the floor before you're getting them up. How dangerous can they be for your dog or cat?
Yeah, that can pose a danger. I'm glad you brought that up. So things like electrocution, unfortunately, from biting cords of lights can happen. Cats, especially, they're inquisitive and like to play with ornaments and as well as the lights. Being wary of that. Additionally, bringing in Christmas trees, cats love to climb. So being cognizant that the cat may try and climb the tree, which could knock over some ornaments and be dangerous. And then additionally, they could also fall from the tree and get injured as well. So some considerations to keep in mind.
What should you do when your house is a little bit of an open house? New people are coming in, people are leaving. Should we crate the pets, put them away? What would you suggest?
Some of the recommendations that I have are to get them into their own space that's comfortable. So if they're comfortable going into a crate, I think that's a great option. Alternatively, a bedroom or some other place that they can feel secure. And then once all of your guests have arrived, the stimulus of the arrival is over. I think then that's a good time to let your animals out and meet everyone. I definitely recommend not taking your pets with you if you go to a guest's house. The one other thing that I think about during this time is the amount of flowers that we buy, which are great. But I do want to speak just a little bit to some of the toxic flowers that we do not want in the home, particularly lilies. So, all lilies are toxic to cats, especially. They can cause acute kidney damage. And so that's really concerning. Additionally, another commonly bought seasonal plant is the poinsettia. And while it looks kind of bright red and has that white milky sap, it is relatively harmless to dogs and cats. So that's one of the plants that I wouldn't worry about having on the floor. As long as no one is eating large quantities of it, that's going to cause any large quantity consumption of something is going to cause an upset stomach.
Thank you, Dr. Midtune, for being here today. Although I want to call you Teddy. Thank you so much. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure to speak with you.